Welcome to another episode of the Sunday Surefire Podcast. I'm your host, the Commish. Joining me today is the co-host, Ethan Weaver.
Ramesh, how we doing?
Doing pretty good, brother. Doing pretty good. We got the combine in the rearview mirror, and we're just gonna dive into some rookie content here, folks. So we're talking a post NFL combine rookie mock draft. We're doing a full 2 round mock here. It's gonna be taking place in a 12 team Superflex league. It's gonna be full PPR for all the non-tight ends and for all those tight end premium leagues. This is gonna be the mock you want to check out because we're gonna do this exercise with a 1.75 tight end premium scoring format. We'll also use 6 points per passing touchdowns as well. Just keep in mind here, folks, like this exercise, we're not taking into account team needs. We're just more or less just going best player available given the format. And a lot can change between now and the NFL draft. So we reserve the right to change our minds down the road. Certainly, draft capital and landing spots will go a long way in shaping what consensus actually looks like come your dynasty draft. So, Ethan, anything you want to toss out there for the listeners before we dive right in with the 101?
Just the combines in the books, just another piece of the puzzle that we have to start. I mean, honing in this draft or before our rookie drafts come May and June. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Without any further ado, let's get it, my man. You were on the clock with the 101. We'll be alternating as we go here, but you get the honor of the first selection of our first mock this offseason, Ethan. So don't mess it up here. What'd you go with?
Very tough pick here. 101 Ashton Genty. It's I mean, it's been basically locked in 101 for a long time. I don't really care if you need a quarterback. Just take the best player. If you do need a quarterback, I'd rather move the 101 for an established QB. I just don't think uh, it's a smart idea to take a chance on a guy like Cam Ward or Shador Sanders, more so Cam Ward, a guy that you're hoping to be uh, perennial QB1 when you can just take Ashton Genty, a locked and loaded top 10, 15 pick, and have a major league asset that you can move for a number of quarterbacks.
Completely agree. Not too much to add there. Jetty's the guy at 101, which might sound crazy to some folks if you're just kind of tuning in for the first time. The combine got your juices flowing, maybe, and now you're back in the dynasty swing of things to see a running back at the 101 in a superflex format. But that's just don't overthink it. I think Genty's the pick here at 101, and regardless of format, he's going to be the first player off boards, especially when we see him go in round one of the NFL draft. So if you're still trying to move up in the draft for a running back, you're all in on Genty. Do it now before the hype gets completely out of control once dynasty rookie draft starts up in April, May or so. But let's keep moving here. The fun thing about this draft here compared to drafts past is that this draft really starts at 102 in a lot of people's minds. It's not like maybe even last season there's whatever a top 8 consensus players that should have gone off the board, and then the draft kind of then it gets interesting. No, this draft, there's a lot of good players in it, but it's kind of open to things like team needs and just kind of difference of opinions at this spot here. So with it being a superflex league, especially with the 6 point per passing touchdown format, I end up going with Cam Ward with the 102 quarterback out of Miami. Some rumblings out of the combine that the teams at the very top of the draft might be willing to move back, but there's enough teams in the top 10 where it's like these guys they're hurting for quarterbacks, and this is going to be in all likelihood, barring a shock in my opinion, the first quarterback to hear his name called. I think he's going to be a top 5 pick in all likelihood. So with that, I mean, we know the weight quarterbacks carry in superflex format, so I'm just not overthinking the 102 here. I'm going to go with my quarterback one on the board. I could see maybe a team going in a different direction if you were all set at quarterback, maybe moving back or maybe grabbing another running back prospect. But at this moment, with it kind of being in a vacuum type exercise, ended up rolling with Cam Ward at 102 in a 6 point per passing touchdown superflex league.
You can't argue with the pick. I think Cam Ward has enough talent that he's going to be a locked and loaded top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Some team is going to move up to come get him. I think he's far and away the QB1 of this class, and the NFL is gonna tell you that once the NFL draft comes pretty soon here. But nice pick with Cam Ward. Um, I will go to the 103 and select Marion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina. I can easily see him going 102 over Cam Ward. Like I said, depending on team need. And I think Hampton's a guy that can sneak in. There's talks that he might sneak into the back end of round one in the real NFL draft based on his combine performance. Speaking of that performance, he ran a 4.46 a 40-yard dash at 6 feet, 221 pounds. So obviously a 220-pound back running sub 4.5 is pretty impressive, which is why he had a speed score of 111.7, which is in the 93rd percentile. So Hampton definitely made himself some money at the combine. He also has an elite burst, 129.6 burst score, 92nd percentile, 38-inch vert, 10-foot, 10-inch broad. I mean, the only thing he didn't do well at the combine was his 20-yard shuttle. The 4.4 is a little unimpressive. You kind of like to see your shuttle more so around that 4.1 range. But I mean, Hampton is a big body back with explosion and speed, and he dominated in 2024, amassing 1,660 rush yards, 5.9 yards a carry, and 15 touchdowns. And he also had 38 catches for 373 yards. So Hampton, obviously a great 2024 season, a great combine. I can easily see him going 102. I mean, and hey, you never know. People might, if he goes in the first round, and I'm going to ask you, I mean, if you had the 101 and you were comfortable down tier from Genty to Hampton, I mean, would you be opposed to going from the 101 to basically 102 or 103 and just taking Hampton?
So I love Hampton. I think he's awesome. If he was in last year's class, he'd be easily be the number one
Oh,
running back. Like
easily.
not even a debate. Even some other years we've seen in the last 6 years or so. But I still think there's a sizable, maybe not sizable is not the right word. But there's enough of a gap there between Genty and Hampton where I'm not just
Different
okay
tiers. Yep.
pivoting. It's still going to take a good haul for me to consider doing that. Like I'm not even doing it for like a future first round pick. I'm just sitting there. I'm taking Genty as much as I really do like Hampton. I think he's great. Like if you were set at quarterback and you wanted to take him at 102, I wouldn't fault you at all for doing so. So the answer to your question is no. But I love Hampton. I think he's going to be a great pro, and he gave us 2 monster years at North Carolina and checked out well at the combine overall. So I love the pick of Hampton at 103. But let's just keep going. I'm gonna go with another producer, big time producer in college, 104, Tet McMillan out of Arizona. Just picking the top wide receiver right off the board here. Big frame wide out, 6'4", 219. Just has the potential to be an absolute red zone monster, which I absolutely love. Especially if he lands in the right spot, which is going to be great. And we know, speaking, I don't want to say he's landing spot proof necessarily, but he's going to have the capital invested in him that we like. He's definitely going to be a first round pick, could be a top 10 pick, maybe at least top 15 at the worst. And, I just like what I see out of Tet. I'm not overthinking this one here, grabbing McMillan at the 104.
I love the pick at the 104. I mean, it's kind of crazy that a guy that did nothing at the combine is I feel like starting to fall down people's boards, and there's rumblings that he may even fall in the NFL draft. So it'll be interesting to see where Ted McMillan does end up being drafted. I hope he's a top 10 pick. Like I said, it seems like the fact that he didn't test, people are kind of holding out against him, and maybe the fact that people are saying this isn't the best receiver class, maybe that's kind of bringing him down as well. But I think Ted McMillan, I don't think you need to overthink it. He's the wide receiver one in this class, and at this point in the process. And I think once the NFL draft comes, I think that's going to be solidified. So no arguments with the 104 there. I will move on to the 105. And you did mention 1.75 tight end premium. So I love taking Tyler Warren here at the 105. Tyler Warren, we just discussed him at length in our last video. I mean, he's a guy you can line up anywhere in the formation. He's big bodied, 6'6", 257. He's gonna be a top 15 selection in the NFL draft, and he's gonna be heavily utilized year one in an NFL offense. So if I can get a guy like Tyler Warren who should be able to amass targets and receptions in the NFL if he goes to the Denver Broncos or the Bengals in round one. I mean, I think it's wheels up for Tyler Warren, and I mean, I'd love to get him at the 105 here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of those things where there's not a lot of weaknesses to his game, so it almost doesn't matter where he ends up. But there are some juicy landing spots, like you mentioned. The Chargers are another one that I think are selecting in a range where he could easily go. I mean, they might even have to move up a little bit. That some of these teams that were eliminated early in the playoffs, they're picking in the 20s. Maybe they move up a little bit to do so. But if he slips a little bit, they could just sit right there and take him. So I think in the wheelhouse of where he's going to go, there's some juicy landing spots out there for Warren, and if he gets one of them, he's definitely going to be a top 5 pick in these heavier tight end premium formats for sure. But I'm going back to the running back. Well, as we know, the strength of this class is the running back, at least from a depth standpoint. So I'm going to keep picking these guys off the board. I'm going to go Trey Henderson out of Ohio State. Happy to grab him here at the 106. For those who like the underwear Olympics and the combine and all that, showed up pretty well there. Ran a 4.43 at just over 200 pounds, 38.5-inch vert. Was tied for fourth among running backs in the class there, and his broad jump was good for fifth in the class as well at the running back position. So, more or less, just kind of backs up what we thought we knew about him coming in. His athleticism all over his tape. He's not gonna be a player that's a consistent like 25 touch guy, and he showed some wear and tear in college as well. So does need to have a little bit to prove that he can stay healthy. But he's a guy who can win with fewer touches at the NFL level. You get this guy 15 or so touches, whatever. He's gonna be fine with taking on that workload. So taking the first of two Ohio State running backs we're going to be taking here in this draft, but I grabbed Henderson at the 106.
I like Henderson. I love both Ohio State backs. Henderson's kind of more your guy that can obviously handle the rock on first and second down, but can thrive on third down. And it was actually kind of crazy to see that how equally or slightly more athletic Judkins was, right? Because I mean Henderson's kind of that he looked faster on tape, right? And
Mhm.
he's that guy you can throw the ball to out of the backfield. But I mean Henderson and Judkins, I mean what a backfield for Ohio State. Those guys are just kind of freaks athletically. And I mean this class overall, the running back position, I mean they just showed out. They're very very athletic class. So there's going to be a lot of running back names off the board early in our rookie draft. So no. Nothing really bad to say about Travion Henderson. I mean, a lot obviously to the process. Things can change based on landing spot and draft capital, but Henderson's a nice selection there at the 106. The 107, I'm going to be taking the second wide receiver off the board, Luther Burden out of Missouri. I think he's going to be a first round pick. It was nice to see him check in at 6 feet tall, 206 pounds. I think this is a guy that did what he had to do at the combine. He only ran, but he ran a 4.41, which is a 107.4 speed score. I mean, it's not quite at that 110 level, but I mean, it's right there. I think he did what he had to do at 206 pounds, but he dominated as a sophomore at Missouri with 86 catches, 1,212 yards and 9 touchdowns. And he took a massive dip as a junior, only amassing 61 catches, 676 yards and 6 touchdowns. But I think that's more to do with the Mizzou offense and the quarterback. Brady Cook just wasn't very accurate, and his adjusted completion percentage of 70.7 ranked outside the top 100 college quarterbacks. So I think it was just a struggle for him to get solid targets, consistent targets. But I think Luther Burden is going to be a nice plug and play round one receiver. He's my wide receiver two at the moment, but I'd be happy to get him at the 107.
Yeah, Burton's a guy who was held back by quarterback play in 2024, no doubt about that. It's pretty obvious if you watched any Mizzou football last year, if you were subject to that travesty of quarterback play. That's why Burton's box score numbers were not there. But like you
Hey,
said,
not as bad as Loveland though.
oh, don't get me started on Michigan quarterback play. Good Lord, ugly all around. But yeah, tough spot for Burton there as well on that front. Um, I think he could be a crazy good slot weapon with the ability to do a little bit more on top of that at the NFL level. If he lands in the right system, man, like this guy could be a fantasy all-star. So mid first round, you're taking a swing on the talent. Totally get it. Like that pick a lot. Luther Burden at 107. But I'm keeping the train going here on wide receiver here at the 108. I'm going to an Ohio State player, going to Emeka Abuka, a guy really just feels like a safe pick to me here at the 108 as we get into the later part of the first round. Smooth route runner, guy who you can tell just understands the nuances of the position. Not going to be a home run hitter, I'll say that, or maybe even a yak monster, but he's serviceable enough in those areas where I'm comfortable drafting him here. Just a guy who can do a little bit of everything. But I'd say likely to play in the slot at the next level as well. 73% of his snaps were taken from that spot a season ago at Ohio State, and I know Ohio State's wide receiver yields all these high profile prospects coming out. But he's a guy that he kind of has just gone about doing his thing despite playing with other talented wide receivers on his team. And I know we're all geeking out on 40 times and broad jumps and all that stuff, but him not testing might leave some people with bad taste in their mouth. But I'm really just relying on what we saw out of him in college, and I think he might be kind of set in as like a quote unquote boring pick in dynasty drafts. But I'm just okay taking him because I think he's going to be a relatively safe real life player, and he's going to keep getting opportunities. He'll be out there for a ton. He'll probably have a long career, and one of the safer picks that you can make here, even if he's never going to be a true league winner.
No, I agree. I mean, I think he's going to be a plug and play guy right out the rip in the slot. He kind of fits um that 6 foot, 200 pound uh uh role too. That mold, I should say. So he has pretty decent size. It would have been nice to see him test at the NFL Combine. We're probably going to see him test at the Ohio State Pro Day. Obviously, those numbers are a little inflated, so you got to take those with a grain of salt. But it would be nice to get something in terms of a speed score, a burst score, and things like that. But I think he's going to be a potential. He's probably going to be a first round receiver. So I think that's a pretty safe selection at the 108. I'm going to go to the 109 and I'm going to go tight end again. I'm going to go Colston Loveland. I'm just basing this off the format. I think Loveland's going to be a first round tight end selection in the NFL draft as well. So I mean, if I can get a guy like Loveland, who I think is going to be a big receiving weapon in the NFL, if he can go to like those spots like the Bengals, the Denver Broncos in the first round, maybe reunites with his coach, and with the Chargers and Harbaugh. So I mean, I know you like Loveland. I believe he's your tight end one. So to get him, a guy with his receiving chops at the 109 in a 1.75 tight end premium league, I would be ecstatic. So it's just hard for me to pass up Loveland, even though there's a couple guys down the board that are pretty tantalizing here too. But based on format, I went Loveland.
I gotta be honest. I was kind of the game of the system here, and I broke the rule that we had coming in that you're going to go BPA and all that, best player available. And if I had known you were going to take Loveland here, I would have taken him before I took Emeka Ibuka.
I was
'Cause
surprised you didn't take Loveland
yeah,
after Burden, but
I was like, Ethan's a big running back guy. It's a deep running back class. He's going to grab another running back. I can sneak Loveland in at the 110, but I was wrong. So
hey, Brock Bowers changed me, dude. He's
yeah,
been so awesome for me in these tight end premium leagues. I'm like, I have to chase that high.
yeah. Now you're Mr. Tight End. No idea Brock Bowers was going to be good, but
Oh yeah, hey, whoa, we have receipts.
yeah, yeah. Well, you were higher
everybody,
on him
everybody,
than everybody else, but
everybody knew Brock Bowers was gonna be good. He was
yeah,
just an absolute stud. But
you nailed it in a redraft. We'll give you that. But
yes,
but speaking of the next, maybe not the next Brock Bowers, but the next, high profile rookie tight end coming down the pike, Sam Laporta, Brock Bowers, and now Colston Loveland out of Michigan. I like Warren a lot too. Don't get me wrong, but I do have Loveland as my tight end one. There's another episode you can check out where we go into detail on that. No, don't have the time to get into all that here. But he's my guy, especially in tight end premium format. So I love me some Loveland, and I think he's going to be a great fantasy football tight end for sure. But I after my heart was broken when Loveland was came off the board. I bounced back here at Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, and I know people are down on him because of his 40 time. It was a 4.57. I get it. We want him to come out a little hotter than that, but he didn't. And at 6'1", 224, folks, that time is perfectly fine. Let's not overreact to it. It's all good. Um, Coming off a ridiculous season where he went for over 1,700 scrimmage yards and 23 total touchdowns. He was Pro Football Focus's 16th graded running back in 2024. And mind you, that they ranked 444 running backs in this class. So when we give you PFF grades like in the teens or 20, even the 20s for these running backs, that's a great score to have. That shows you're grading out really well analytically, which you like to see, especially nowadays. Has the size required to be the primary rusher in an NFL offense. And look, if people are going to fade him, like I said, because of his combine, I'm happy to take shares of him up at a discount here. So what do you think about Johnson quickly?
I know Caleb Johnson. He's right there in the mix with the Hendersons, the Judkins, and Caleb Johnson before the combine was in a lot of people's minds were above like guys like Judkins and potentially Henderson. But I agree with you that his 40 time is not that big of a deal in my opinion. I mean, his speed score was still 102.7, so it kind of hit that over the 100 threshold. But I mean, he's a big guy. I mean, 4.57 is not that bad for a guy that's over 220 pounds. I mean, look at Josh Jacobs. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL. His pro day time was like 4.63, 4.64. I mean, his it was, and he was a first round draft pick, and he's dominating. So Caleb Johnson, I think people need to pump the brakes with the 40 time. I think under a 4.6 for him at that size, I think I think you're still checking the box. He's in the 4.5s, but I would went in a different direction And the guy I would have taken, what I took at the 111, and that's Quinshawn Judkins. I know I said that, hey, the 40's not that big of a deal and whatnot, but I mean, I just loved what Judkins did at the combine. I mean, 4.4840 at 6 feet, 221. I mean, 91st speed score, percentile speed score, 38.5 inch vert, 11-foot broad jump, which I believe led the class, 131.5 burst score, which was 94th percentile. I mean, Judkins is just a freak. I mean, he has awesome contact balance. He had 3 seasons of 1,000 yards, two at Ole Miss, one at Ohio State this past year. I mean, there was rumblings. People were giving him some Alvin Kamara comps, which I mean, you know me, I was sold right there. But Judkins, I think he's going to be a potential top 40 pick with those. I mean, with his what he put on tape, what he did with his production, and what he did at the combine. I mean, Judkins at the 111. I mean, for a team that was in the championship, you add Judkins to your roster. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jenkins is great. He's a guy who's probably going to go in the top 10 of a lot of dynasty rookie drafts, even in these tight end premium formats. Probably, but not likely, definitely, if you're not in a tight end premium, he's going to go in the top 10 in the top 10 picks of your draft. So, yeah, I like him. I like him a lot too. I'd say he's sort of the end of a definitely the end of a running back tier is there. So I
Agree.
think it was a good pick on your part. I was going to take him at 112 if you didn't for sure. But I think that's a good. I think the first 11 guys. I don't want to maybe it's too early to use the word consensus, but I think the first 11 players that we took are going to be guys that are going in the top 11 picks of drafts, at least at this point in the process. Would you agree on that?
I agree. I agree. I know there's going to be a player that we're going to select soon that a lot of people are going to have up there, but I guess it depends what happens throughout this process.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said at the top, it's a little early. It's early in the process, and we'll recap the first round here in a second after I give you talk some Matt Golden at the 112 receiver out of Texas, and we couldn't possibly do a post combine mock draft without talking about Colton going in round one of in this draft. And by now, as you probably know, he ran a 4.29 40-yard dash, which is obviously ridiculous. Led the class, which was awesome. 10-yard split was also 1.49 top of the class as well, which probably doesn't surprise anybody. Um, Keep in mind, he did this at 5'11", 191. So he's not exactly he's a shrimp. He's not a shrimp. He's not Calvin Johnson, but he's not a shrimp out there either. I mean, for reference, last year when Xavier Worthy set the record for the combine, also in the 4.2s, the 4.21, he did it at 165 pounds. And so Golden is a significant amount heavier than him, and he's still running in the 4.2s. Granted, there is a difference between 4.21 and 4.29. I got it, but we're talking 4.2s here, folks. So the guy can fly. He made the jump up from Houston to the University of Texas, where he posted his best season as a collegiate athlete, just shy of 1,000 yards. He's a guy. He's got a strong ability to adjust his body to balls to secure catches, and he's shifty too when he brings the ball in. So he's a fun watch. If you haven't watched any of his tapes, check out some Matthew Golden highlights. If you're just getting into him here right after he blew up the combine, I would recommend that. And if he goes on day one or early in day two in the right landing spot, he's probably going to go higher than this comes time to actually click the button on your dynasty draft.
Yeah, so he ran the 4.29, so he's clearly the wide receiver one in this class immediately.
Yeah, done.
I mean, I think there's no way he falls out of the first round in the real NFL drafts. I mean, at that size, you're running the 4.2s at over 190 pounds. I mean, that's pretty impressive. There's just no way the NFL is, I think, going to let him out of the first round. But to make your point with Worthy, right? Worthy's speed score was 102.2, which is the 77th percentile, while Golden's was 109.7, the 91st percentile, just because of weight. So Golden actually had a higher speed score, but I mean, there's probably not a player in this draft that didn't kind of he probably made himself more money than anybody running that 4.29. I mean, are vaulting him up like to go to the Cowboys at whatever pick they have, like pick 12. I mean, people think he might be a top 20 pick because he ran a 4.29. So we always say let's not overreact to the 40-yard dash, but the guy runs a 4.29 and now he's a top 15 pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like people you can't have it both ways. But obviously Matthew Golden, it's gonna be fun to see where he lands in the NFL draft. Considering that speed. I just with the NFL, I mean, they love their speedy receiver. So I think he's going round one easy.
Yeah, I can definitely see that unfolding as well. Big fan of Golden. He, like you said, made himself a ton of ching up this moving up the draft boards for sure. Let's review the first round here before we dive into round two, which will be a little bit quicker of a pace. But for round one in review here, we start at the 101. We have Ashton Genty. The 102 is Cam Ward. The 103 is Omarion Hampton. The 104, Tet McMillan. 105, Tyler Warren. 106, Trey Henderson. 107 is Luther Burden. The 108 is Emeka Egbuka. 109, Colston Loveland. 110, Caleb Johnson. 111, Quinshawn Judkins. And the 112, Matthew Golden. Rounding into the turn here, there may be a little bit of surprise here that as this is a super flex mock, we only had one quarterback go in our top 12 picks. And so there were a couple notable, maybe even two notable prospects that fell out of that round one in this exercise here. So that fall is going to end shortly here, but I guess does that tell you more about the quarterback class, or just kind of how good some of these other non-quarterback prospects are in the 2025 group?
I think a little of both. I don't think this is a very good quarterback class. I do like Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward is going to be a top three selection in our dynasty drafts. But with these next couple of quarterbacks, I, I mean, I do think Jackson Dart did himself well at the combine. I think he performed very well. But a guy like Shador Sanders, right? Shador Sanders, who's been like the consensus quarterback two in this class, he didn't do anything at the combine except interviews, and I just think he's a guy that I could see slipping out of the top 10. I know we talked a little bit before this. I mean, he doesn't have elite athleticism, right? He doesn't have a rocket arm. I mean, so if he falls into the teens, right? Who am I drafting? Am I drafting another Mac Jones, another Kenny Pickett? I mean, Shador
Woo!
Sanders I mean,
Woo!
it's just Shador Sanders, I think, is like better than those guys, but I mean, by how much, right? I mean, obviously, I mean, Pickett, I think was a reach, but I mean, Mac Jones was supposed to be this cerebral savant, but he had a noodle arm. I think Sanders has a better arm than Mac Jones, but I mean, not by a ton. I mean, Sanders had over 70% completion percentage throughout his career, but I mean, he's throwing 8 to 10 yard hitches and crossers and not really throwing the ball down the field. I don't know if you saw Cam Ward and Shador working out, but Cam Ward was giving Shador Sanders a lot of crap for um, the lack of pushing the ball down the field. So it'll be very interesting to see where Shador Sanders goes, which is why I picked him at the 201. And that's where the fall ends. I just don't see a guy that's going to be a perennial QB1 at all. I mean, I think if you draft Sanders, you're hoping he's going to be a safe floor level quarterback too. And he's not going to propel your team to he's not going to win your team's championships. He's just a safe guy you can plug in your QB2 spot, and that's what you're going to get. So why would I want to use my dynasty first round pick on a guy like that when this running back class is loaded? There's two first round tight ends. So that's why I punted Shador Sanders in the first round.
I mean, we both punted him too. You and me are, but we're going back
Yeah.
to back here in this draft, and I'm with you on that. So you took him at the 201, and I get it. The slide should stop there. Let's say even if he is that guy, a safe whatever, safe mid to back end QB2 for 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, he's still worth it at 201. You're getting a good value here. I'll say that. But yeah, I'm fading him too. I'm actually in the last very recently here bumped him down to my QB3 in this class. And the guy I bumped up to him, like I said, Cam Ward's my top guy, but I'm going Jackson Dart here. He's actually my selection here in this draft at the 202. He's my number two quarterback in this class now at Ole Miss. Um, I think he very well could have the highest ceiling of any quarterback in this class, just because of what he can do moving around with his legs, and obviously got the big arm to go with it as well. Just one of those guys coming out. He's played a ton of college football, 45 games in total, and just kind of gotten better every step of the way. So I saw a great stat actually from Austin Abbott the other day over out on X, as about just kind of comparing him to being Jackson Dart to Sitter Sanders and Cam Ward. Dart's average depth of target was 11.9 yards. He had a big time throw rate of 7.1%, and his yards per attempt mark was 10.7 yards. And all of those were better than Ward and Sanders, who routinely are going ahead of him in a lot of these mocks. And Dart accomplished that with less time to throw than both of those guys. So if you want to just kind of start comparing the quarterbacks in this class, there's some evidence to suggest that Dart could very well come out being the best pro of this group, and he was kind of viewed as a winner coming out of the Senior Bowl, and he was viewed a winner coming out of the Combine as well. And I just think the drumbeat for Dart going in round one of the NFL drafts is already getting louder and louder. And if that happens, he's going to be a first round pick in Dynasty Superflex draft. You can book that.
Yeah, I think what he did at the combine, I think he probably propelled himself into round one. And I think Shador Sanders is probably happy. He didn't go toe to toe with Dart because Dart looked great. I mean, he has zip on the ball, the zip that Sanders just doesn't have. So Dart, I think made himself little bit of money at the combine. And I think he probably solidified himself as a round one prospect. I mean, if he does fall to the back of the first, I think a team's going to probably move up to get him, especially if teams like Tennessee, Cleveland pass up on him in those first couple of picks.
Yeah, it could be something similar to what Lamar Jackson in 2018, where Baltimore was maybe not sold on him in the early first round, but then they kind of came in, moved up last minute, and grabbed him and picked 32, something like that.
Was that the Patriots pick?
Yeah, the Patriots
Yeah.
moved back in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, our team can't
Yeah.
draft to save their lives, and
You're better off moving back for the
yeah, thank God we don't have Lamar Jackson. That'd be terrible, but it's all good. We're that's the one position we actually feel okay about with
Oh
Jay.
yeah.
Believe it or not, him and Christian Gonzalez. The rest can go, in my opinion. But that's we're not going to complain about the Patriots here. We have all offseason to do that. Let's keep it moving here. We'll speed it up a little bit more quickly here. But you kind of took a guy who could be the steal of rookie drafts here
Yeah.
at the 203, depending on how it shakes out. So talk to me about Travis Hunter.
Yes, potentially Drake May's teammate in a short while here. Travis Hunter, I took at the 203, and I took him at the 203 just because pure upside. I mean, he's probably the wide receiver one in this class if he just came into the process as a receiver. I'm actually kind of surprised he doesn't want to just go receiver full time. I think he can make an insane amount of money. I think he'd be the wide receiver one off the board. And I mean, if you look at this class, I mean, he's a very, very, very good zone corner. I mean, he's good man to man, but like, I mean, there's other corners. There's another corner in this class that's probably ahead of him in man to man coverage. But I mean, Travis Hunter still, I mean, an amazing corner. I mean, 1-2 in this class. But I mean, Travis Hunter, and especially in a down receiver class, would probably be. I mean, the first receiver off the board. I just don't. I'm curious to see how teams view him. I mean, you see reports like the Patriots, like the report from them was that they view him as a receiver. There's teams that view him as a receiver. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with Travis Hunter. But obviously, if he goes and plays DB and he's only a part-time receiver playing 40, 50% of the snaps, I mean, that's tough to put in your lineup week to week.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a case of do I want to use my first round pick on a guy who might barely be a player that I is literally turned into a roster clogger because he's not playing enough snaps consistently.
IDP leagues, baby.
Oh, if you're in IDP, like let me tell you, if you can get points for offense and defense out of your
I
IDP
know,
guys,
yeah.
like now we're cooking with gas for sure, for sure. But
Oh yeah.
we're not talking IDP in this one. He's definitely a first round pick in IDP formats for sure. But yeah, I mean it's one of those things where you definitely feel better using a second round pick on him because
Oh
the hit
yeah.
rates are a little bit lower. But you're probably gonna have to use it. You might have to use a late first round pick on this guy, and I don't know if I'm comfortable doing that
Well, people
necessarily
were
with
talking.
Hunter.
Yeah, yeah. People were talking about the late first round picks. What it's a if you have the 112, if you earn the 112 and you're there and you're the champion, I mean, it's Travis Hunter's not a bad flyer to take.
Sure.
You just won. You obviously have a good roster. So hey, why not take the chance on Travis Hunter? But obviously, like at this point in the process now, it's easy to say that. But obviously, if he gets drafted and it says CB next to his name, well then, yeah, you're probably going a different direction.
For sure. This is one of those guys where we gotta see how the process unfolds completely um before you go ahead and know exactly where you want to take him. And I feel bad for the leagues out there that have their draft before the NFL draft because this is a
Oh
guy
yeah.
that, you know, he could be a steal, but he also could blow up in your face if you take him too early. So
Malik Willis.
oh, shades of Malik Willis, man. That was brutal. Absolutely brutal for anyone who grabbed him in your 101 or
Yeah,
102 in
I know.
2022, whenever
Uh,
you're there. That was tough for sure. But we'll keep it buzzing through these here, folks. I just went on a rant about my boy Jackson Dart, so I guess it's only fitting that I bring up his number one receiver over the last two seasons here in Trey Harris at the 204 out of Ole Miss. It cracked the 1,000 yard mark despite missing 5 games with a groin injury last season. It was on pace for a ridiculous 1,600 yard season and double digit scores. He was Pro Football Focus's fifth highest graded wide receiver in 2024. Bigger guy, 6'2", 205 pounds. Used primarily as an outside wideout in college, a guy who's strong in the short areas of the field, but can also take the top off the defenses as well. He's a guy I think is definitely worth a swing in round two. I really like a lot of the film I watched on Trey Harris, Ethan. Give me your quick thoughts on him before you move on to your 205.
No, I mean, hey, Trey Harris here is definitely not a bad shot in the second round. I think just to, I guess before we get deeper into the second round, I think we need to preface this. I tended to lean running back heavy this in the second round at this point in the process because if Trey Harris isn't a top 40, 50 selection, his odds of being an elite fantasy producer goes way down. So I would rather take the second, third round running backs, which they're saying that there's rumblings that there may be 12 running backs in the first 2 days of the NFL draft, which would be like insane, right? So especially, I mean, Saquon Barkley obviously taking the league by storm this year. People, I mean, the running back resurgence, I think is a real thing, and I think the league is starving for a fresh batch of elite running backs. So I went running back heavy this round. So a guy like Trey Harris, if he can get that top 50 capital, I mean, I think that's going to obviously be awesome for him, and I think he's easily going to be a mid, maybe early second round pick. But I mean, 4.54 40 at his size. His speed score was okay. It was 97.8, which is 65th percentile, so under that 100 threshold. So I mean, but I mean 4.54 as a receiver, that's I mean that's not too bad at all. But he was bursty at 38.5 inch vert, 10 foot 5 broad. So and like you said, he was on pace for a ridiculous season. If he would have been, it would have been nice to see if he played all every game, what he could have done with your guy Jackson Dart. But and not a bad pick here, especially before we know draft capital and whatnot. So that being said, I'm going to go to the 205. And I took Dylan Sampson here, which I mean, some people may say is maybe a little early for Dylan Sampson. I just see number 6 in Tennessee. I think of Alvin Kamara. So I just I liked what I saw from Dylan Sampson. I mean, quick feet, good contact balance. I mean, he broke the Tennessee record for touchdowns with 22. He was just a very explosive player for them. I mean, he carried that offense. He's 5'8", 200 pounds. So 30.4 BMI, 59th percentile, which isn't terrible. He's a true junior. He's just over 20 years old. So I believe he's the youngest running back, if not player in the NFL draft. But he didn't run the 40-yard dash. I hope he runs at his pro day. There's reports that he's in the I mean, I don't know if I saw 4.35, but that's what I heard. But if he can get low 4.4s, that'd be great. And it would be awesome if he could be. I mean, I think if he's drafted in the first, if he's drafted in the second or third round, I think Dylan Sampson's a great pick for your dynasty roster. So, as I said, and draft capital, landing spots is going to help us decipher where these running backs are going to go in the second round. Right now, we're just speculating and we're just kind of going based on tape and kind of what we saw at the combine. But I like Dylan Sampson. This was honestly, this was one of the hardest picks I had to make. It actually took me a little while to make my selection at the 205, just because I think this is just such a cluster of players where so much can change in just a couple months.
Yeah, Ethan was about to have his 24-hour clock expire in a
Yeah.
mock draft in March.
Hey, I was busy. I was busy.
A lot going on with the like it's busy. We both got young kids, so it's all good.
Yes.
But yeah, Sampson's a good selection here. With SEC Offensive Player of the Year too. On top of all that, so I don't know much to add. Like I kind of like the thought process too of drafting running backs, just a little bit safer because they can get drafted in the fifth round, fourth round. Not that that's going to happen to Sampson, but like they can get drafted later in the NFL draft and still be productive if they have an opportunity open up for them at the NFL level. So I like that call as well. But I'm going to go back to the tight end position. in this premium format. I'm taking 206. I'm going to Elijah Arroyo out of Miami. He's a guy who didn't partake in the combine, and while some guys kind of had that held against them, I still think he actually came out a winner here with the um, kind of like a lot of the other second or third tier tight ends failing to separate themselves in the process. Looking at you, Harold Fanion. But
Yeah.
Fannin. But with Arroyo here, I think he's a guy. A team drafts him here. They're going to get a sure-handed tight end that can do a little bit of everything. Short area plays, got it. Right up the seam, yep. Work the sidelines, no problem. So day two capital is all this guy needs to shoot up dynasty draft boards. I think by the time the process plays out and dynasty draft season is upon us here, I wouldn't be shocked if he's no longer available in the middle of the second round in these premium drafts. Guy just I'm really high on in Arroyo, and I was happy to grab him at the 206.
I think it's a good selection here. Yeah, some of the tight ends did perform as well as we were hoping for. I mean, out of all the tight ends, I think a guy like Terrence Ferguson, he kind of showed out in the tight end room at the combine. But like you said, Arroyo not testing didn't really hurt him. I was excited to see him test. I wanted to kind of see the athleticism that we saw on tape transition or transfer into the combine. We didn't see it, but hopefully he can run at his pro day and he can put some of that athleticism, give us some numbers. But I mean, it would be great to see Arroyo in the second round of the NFL drafts and move up boards. So in a 175 tight end premium, 206, middle of the second round, I think it's a very nice selection there. 207, sticking with the running backs, I'm going with Cam Scatabo. And you just watch this guy run. I mean, he just his legs never stop churning. He's always looking for the extra inch. I mean, this guy runs like a man possessed, and his contact balance was just absolutely insane. I mean, the tackles he would break. I mean, what he did in the college football playoffs. I mean, he was the Arizona State team at one point. Running for a touchdown, throwing for a touchdown. I mean, he was just doing everything. I mean, Cam Scottaboo, he's a guy that I would love to see get drafted in the third round. We obviously didn't see him run the 40-yard dash. He's going to run at his pro day. I mean, if he can get anywhere in the 4.5s, I mean, I think that's a massive, massive win for a guy like him.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's 5'10", 219 pounds, so definitely has some size to him. But I mean, he's bursty, 30 9.5 inch vertical, 10'3" broad. So I mean, I love to see the running backs with explosion and burst, and it shows up on tape. I mean, his contact balance and his explosion. I mean, it takes an army to get him down. An AFC executive was quoted. You hear guys say, "I'm built different," but usually it's all talk. This guy really is built differently. He sees and plays the game like a linebacker. So he like, I mean, his NFL career might be short due to the way he plays, but I mean. I'm very. He's a very polarizing player, and I'm excited to see where he goes in the NFL draft. I took the shot here at 207.
My first bullet point on him was polarizing player.
Yeah.
He's a guy that people are out on him or people really like him. He's a guy you can ask 10 different analysts what you think, and you're going to get possibly 10 different answers. So yeah, I think he's a lot of what you said is dead on. I think he's a player that probably is best suited to be a committee running back because of how hard he plays, and he's probably going to get hurt. And then you get some other guys in there complimenting what he does, but I think he can lead an NFL committee successfully. And we're taking shots here in the middle of round two, so the blue chip prospects are gone, but this guy has a little bit of, I think he has a little bit of something to his game. And even if he doesn't have a 7-year NFL, 8-year NFL career, that's perfectly fine. We're talking about a mid-second round pick here, so we'll see where I'll see what the NFL thinks of him as well. But that's a good pick there. But I'm going to go back to another guy that who did really well at the combine and definitely made himself a little bit of money, at least in theory. The 208 here, I'm going with Bayshell Tootin out of Virginia Tech, the running back. And look, hand up, I'll admit that the combine really put him on my radar. He was a guy I hadn't dove into a ton beforehand, and so it caused me to pay a little bit of closer attention to this kid. And I like what I've seen. Ran the 4.32 40 with a 45.5 inch vert. Did well in the broad jump as well. Checked in at 209 pounds as well. So running a low 4.3 at 209 is definitely nothing to sneeze at, particularly for a running back. Had two quality seasons at Virginia Tech. Also caught 50 passes over his last two seasons there. So has the receiving pedigree. And look, listen, like I just said on Scatabo a second ago, like he's a guy we're getting late in the round two here. So I love betting on those running backs myself when I can in the second and third rounds. And this is a bet that I want to place if I can grab him at 208.
Yeah, two, and he just, I mean, one word, just freak athlete. What he did at the combine was, I mean, insanely impressive. I mean, his speed score was in the 98th percentile, being 209 pounds. His burst was in the 97th percentile. As you said, he got on everybody's radar after the combine. And guys, I mean, guys like that, it's just like those bursty, fast guys. I mean, those guys make NFL rosters. So
Yep.
it'll be very interesting to see where he goes in the NFL draft. But no, he was. I mean, there might not be a bigger winner from the NFL Combine than Tootin. That brings us to the 209, and we're going to go back to the receiver well here. Jaden Higgins from Iowa State. He's a big receiver, 6'4", 214 pounds, over 6'7" wingspan, a little over 22 years old, and he had himself a really good combine. I mean, 4.47, 111.6, 94th percentile speed score, 130.3 burst score, 87th percentile with a 39-inch vert, a 10-foot 8-inch broad. And in 2024, for the Cyclones, he went 87 for 1,183 yards and 9 touchdowns. I think Jaden Higgins is a guy that can definitely rise in this process. I mean, I kind of see him as a more athletic, like Michael Pittman. And Michael Pittman's having a pretty good NFL career, but Jaden Higgins, he's a guy I'm excited to see if he can potentially get in that top 40, top 50 in the NFL draft. Obviously, a lot to this process, but here at the 209, I'm taking a shot on a guy that did very well through this entire process so far, whether it was the Senior Bowl or the NFL Combine.
Yeah, he was a guy who performed pretty well. I'm also curious to see what the NFL thinks of him come draft day for sure. So that's I think it's going to depend where we ended up grabbing him in rookie drafts for sure. Also, PFF's number two rated wide receiver on the season. So the guy
Pretty
made
good.
yeah, pretty damn good, pretty good. If I do say so myself. But at this stage of the draft, I think you and I both got that the Cyclone came for both of us here
Yeah.
with these as I kind of piggybacked on Higgins with Jalen Noel, his college teammate, also a wide receiver. So we were kind of thinking of somewhat of a like mind there, at least when it comes to the helmet scouting. But here's another combine producer too. Ran a 4.39 40 with a 41.5 inch vert, 11.2 in the broad jump, so crushed there too. Put together two awesome seasons at ISU to close out his career. As a senior in 2024, 11 just went over 1,100 yards and 8 scores. Played 60% of his snaps in the slot, which I think is probably where he's going to fit in the NFL. What I like about him is after the catch potential, I think is this is something the NFL scouts are going to like, and that will translate to the next level as well for him. And for a smaller wide receiver, he showed he's actually pretty capable of deep balls. If you just go by the highlight tape on him, like the first like 6 or 7 plays for him catching long touchdowns, and he's a smaller guy going up between like multiple defenders. Like what is this? Like you think he gets smoked in those situations, and maybe the NFL will prove to be a more difficult challenge in those areas. But he showed that he's not just this shifty guy who gets in and out. If defensive backs want to crowd come up on him here and sort of take away that short areas of the field. He's a guy. He's got no problem putting his foot in the ground and getting vertical and beating you deep. So for a smaller guy, especially, didn't expect to see that out of Jalen Noel, but I like what I see with this guy, and I would love to take him at the end of second round, maybe even into the third round of rookie drafts if I can get my hands on him there.
Yeah, no, he's a guy I'm liking more and more throughout this process. I mean, he had an insane combine. Athletically, he was also really good in the drills, and he was really good at the Senior Bowl as well. So, no, another guy that's moving up the board, making himself some money. So, I like this pick at the back end of the second here. So that leaves me at the 211. I'm going to go Devin Neal, running back, Kansas, 5'11", 213, 21 and a half years old, and he ran a 4.58 at 213 pounds. So his speed score was 96.8. And typically speaking, if you're under 100, it doesn't translate well to success in the NFL. But I mean, most famously last year, Bucky Irving had a speed score of 89.6, and he looked pretty good out there. So, I mean, it's obviously you look at historic data and you try to make projections, but I mean, he was bursty, 37.5-inch vert, 10'4" broad, but I mean, he was very, very good at Kansas. He had over 1,000 yards in 22, 23, and 2024, 4.3 yards after contact per carry. 36.5% force missed tackle rate, ranks top 10% in this class, 9.3% explosive run rate. That's 20 plus yard runs, and a 53.7% success rate. Um, upper, so all these are upper tier running backs. In this class, it just represents big play potential and consistency. Obviously, the big play potential in college is going to vary going to the NFL, considering he only runs of whatever 4.58. So he might that's probably not going to translate. But Devin Neal's a guy that a lot of people like in the dynasty community. I mean, I'm seeing some post mock rookie drafts have him in the back end of the first round. People just like Devin Neal. So you have that group, and then you have other people that, hey, he ran a 4.58. He's basically dead. He's my RB 15. So I took him here at the 211 just to kind of get him on the board. I mean, I like Devin Neal, and I think what he put on tape, the production he had, I think warrants the 211. And like I said, it seems like the community really likes this guy. So Devin Neal at the 211. I'm not afraid to take a shot here.
Yeah, I like taking a shot on there too. It was PFF's 15th rated running back last year. Like you said, the 3 solid years of production to close out his college career. Also caught 70 passes over his final 3 seasons too. So it can do gives you a little bit of everything. Overall, I just think like yeah, the 40 wasn't great, but fine. Like I think he's going to be a high floor pro, probably landing into a committee somewhere, but that's fine. I mean, if he's in there with another guy who's similar to kind of similar skill set to him or isn't an elite talent in their own right, there's no reason to think that he can't maybe overtake that guy or at least lead a team in a committee. And we're sniffing right up against the third round here, guys. These are the darts that you want to throw in this range. So I like that call out a lot for Devin Neal at 211. I think that was going to pan out. Hopefully he sticks around there come draft day. But I'm going to close out this exercise here. The final pick in this mock here. I'm going Elick Manor out of Stanford, wide receiver. This guy is a little bit of a project here. I'll say that, but here, like I said, we're almost in the third round here, so I'm willing to take this gamble. He's got the size and length that you want out of an NFL prospect. Also ran a 4.44, which is pretty good for a tall wide receiver at 6'2", so I'd like to see that. That guy's definitely going to be an X receiver at the pro level. Played 89% of his snaps out wide in 2024, so I think he could be a guy that if he develops properly, becomes kind of like a strong boundary type receiver, really good at keeping his feet in bounds, and maybe if he lands in a high octane offense and he gets to be like a red zone weapon that would be great. Probably the best case for him. So I do think getting the right fit on the right coaching staff that can help him unlock some of those raw tools are huge for this guy's development and are going to go a long way of where we end up clicking the button on him. But I thought he was worthy of bringing up here to kind of close out the exercise.
No, I think you almost had to mention him in the second round at this point in the process. I know a lot of people have him early second round. He had himself a good combine, 4.4, 4.40, 38.5-inch vert, 10'7" broad. So he at 6'2", 206. So he has the requisite athleticism, requisite size. I think at this point it's draft capital. If he's outside the second round, which I mean, like I said, who knows? I guess you never know. But I mean, like I said earlier, we're hoping to be inside that top 40, top 50 for these receivers. And if he's not, he's going to be falling down boards.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see how the process plays on him. Definitely. But that wraps up our coverage here of round two here. Just to recap the second round, we got Shadur Sanders at the 201, Jackson Dart at the 202, Travis Hunter at the 203, Trey Harris at the 204, Dylan Sampson at the 205, Elijah Arroyo at the 206, Cam Skataboo at the 207, Bashal Tutin at the 208, Jaden Higgins at the 209, Jalen Noel at 210, Devin Neal at 211, and Elick AO Manor at the 212 to close out the exercise here, folks. Thanks for listening here and writing this down. If you like what you heard, we're gonna have a lot more rookie content and free agencies coming up next week. We'll get dive into that as well. So come here for all your dynasty needs, folks. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It's a big help on our end if you do that. But until next time, folks, peace.